Welcome back to our science lesson year 2. We're going to continue looking at plants, but today we're going to look at prehistoric plants, so plants from the dinosaurs' time. So plants make all other life on Earth possible, and they always have. Like the great reptiles that used to roam the Earth, many prehistoric plants have disappeared, but some of the green species that grew millions of years ago still thrive today. So, who isn't intrigued by dinosaurs? The mystery behind their lives and the extinction engages the imaginations of all of us, inviting visions of a world dominated by huge dinosaurs. So, using fossil evidence, researchers use science and imagination to interpret the stories of these magnificent creatures. Like these great dinosaurs, many prehistoric plants have disappeared, but some of the green species that grew millions of years ago still live today. Now, the earliest plants actually prepared the path for animal evolution. They harnessed the sun's energy for creating their own food from water and carbon dioxide, just like photosynthesis today. So, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Now, plants form the foundation of every food chain. We know that they were an important part of the dinosaurs' world and that they evolved significantly during the mighty 80 million year reign of the dinosaurs. But if plants don't have bones to leave behind, how do we know which plants were around back then? Now, scientists track the appearance and evolution of plant life by analysing fossils, but they haven't found many specimens because plants decompose so quickly. Fortunately, nature has a way of recording history. Now, plant fossils are formed when plant matter, such as the stem, the leaves, the roots, the seeds, or the fruits, is protected from rotting by being covered with sediments such as clay, mud, sand, and volcanic ash. The result are fossils. Now, some contain plant matter that has not fully decomposed, so it's not rotted, leaving trace amounts of tissues, a layer of carbon. Now, others contain no plant remains at all, but the surrounding clay retained an imprint of the plant's material. Some are preserved as a sculptural likeness of the plant, so the process of fossilization, and minerals in solution replace the water in cells and then form into stone. Now, by studying these various types of fossils, scientists have pieced together the periods in which they lived and how old each plant is and which were the first plants to be on Earth. Now, plant reproductive structures have changed significantly over time and are a good indicator of evolutionary progress. So the first land plants, including horsetail and ferns, produce new plants via spores, which we'll look at in a moment. Then there's the gymnosperms, which were the next major group of plants to evolve. They produce the true seed in a cone-like structure. Now, after that came the angiosperms, which are plants with true flowers that produce seeds within the protected fruits. Now, this gave them an advantage over all the other plants, and now that's why most plants reproduce in this way. Now, let's look at some plants which were grown in prehistoric times and are still around today. Now, ones that we call spore-bearing vascular plants. Now, these plants do not have seeds, but instead reproduce through spores in alternative generations. Now, ferns, like in the picture, were once the primary vegetation covering the earth. The ancient species were probably similar to the tree ferns, now found only in tropical regions. These dominant plants of the dinosaur era decomposed to become major components of coal deposits, an important energy source for us today. Now, the ability of ferns to adapt and evolve has resulted in more than 12,000 known species growing in climates that range from tropics to very cold. Then we have the horsetails. These are among the oldest plants in existence. Like their close relatives, the fern, horsetails reproduce via spores rather than seeds. The horsetail species are also adapted to grow around the globe. They grow in marshy areas and sport two different types of vertical, hollow stems. The first stem appears in spring and looks something like asparagus topped with a brown cone-like structure that has the spores. Later in the year, larger stems with stringy, tough leaves emerge, and this gives plants a feathery appearance, which is where they get their name, horsetail. Now we're going to look at some gymnosperm plants, the ones that produce the true seeds in a cone-like structure. So we're going to look at the bold cypress. This tree can grow in both cold and hot climates, and making it a very popular tree to grow in the streets. Now, the bold cypress can reach 120 feet tall in wet areas. It also has hump-shaped roots that grow out of the ground. Now, the bold cypress seeds are food sources for wildlife, such as turkeys, the wood ducks, the squirrels, and many more. Now, some people call the wood eternal, not because it's been around for years, but because it never decays, which makes it good for building boats and bridges and many more things. And then we have the dawn redwood, which is another tree identified from fossils. Scientists thought it was extinct, but during World War II, a grove of surviving trees were discovered in a location in China. So the seeds were harvested, and now you can find them in many landscapes around the world. This tree can reach more than 120 feet tall. And then we have the ginkgo, which is another tree that we see on the landscapes and has a unique fan-shaped leaves. Until it was discovered grown in Japan in the 17th century, people believed that it was extinct. Now, these seeds that we can see in the picture give off the most awful smell. However, in Asian cultures, extracts from these leaves and seeds have become popular herbal remedies. Now we're going to look at the angiosperms, which are the plants that produce seeds that are within fruits, which are the most common today. So magnolias are some of the earliest. There are more than 80 different species ranging in size, from small shrubs to huge trees. All are known for their beautiful and often fragrant flowers. Now, something we're very familiar with, the palm. Now, these are native to tropical and subtropical areas around the world. Even today, the fruits of many palm trees are used for food, such as dates and coconuts, and Egypt itself is very famous for these palm trees. So just take a look around and you will see these prehistoric trees everywhere. Okay, Year 2, I hope you enjoyed the lesson on our prehistoric plants. Just think these plants around us are millions of years old. Now, without these plants, there would be no life on Earth. So just remember how important they are, and they always have been. Right, until our next lesson, take care, and I'll see you soon.